So I have a minute here to myself, and I was thinking about, the misunderstanding and the misinformation about home equity agreements, also known as home equity investments. And so I wanted to give everybody a kind of a primer on it. So what you have to think about is the options that homeowners have for home equity, and what are they? And traditionally, what's been available is just debt. You have, obviously your first mortgage that's already in place, but then if you want to access your home equity, you could have done the cash out refi. It's not a great option right now where interest rates are at. So the real option is to leave your first in place with a low interest rate and then get a second mortgage or a HELOC, right? And both of these come with fairly high interest rates as well, but at least you get to maintain your first. So that's an option, but then you also have to qualify for that option. That's debt to income ratio to make sure it doesn't, take out too much of your discretionary. The second thing is credit score. And so all of these can be impediments for your ability to access your home equity. And where a home equity agreement is different is that it's an asset-based solution or equity. And so most of the underwriting for these products is based on the underlying property, the combined loan to value of any existing liens on your property plus the home equity agreement, and this determines your accessible cash. Currently, most of the product companies are offering like 15% of the home value, and so long as it doesn't exceed somewhere around maybe say 75% combined loan to value. And so you can access that home equity. You can do it, and let's say if you're good with getting paperwork done, 30 days, upwards of 60 days, and depending on if you're kind of slow walking the paperwork and not providing what's needed, that can happen as well. So it pays to expedite and be on top of your paperwork. But here's the thing. So now that we know that this option exists, that we can access our home equity regardless of your credit score being like a 580 or a 530 or a 620, regardless of your cash flow. Maybe you've got $2,000, $3,000 or $4,000 a month in credit card payments and you got behind during COVID. Okay, whatever it happens to be, maybe there's just an opportunity that you want to take advantage of, and so, but you don't want to have the cash flow restrictions or have more debt service at the same time that you're taking advantage of this investment opportunity maybe. And so what you're going to do is, how you're going to think about this is that if you were to go to a bank and you were to say, hey, I want to be able to take out 15% of my home equity, I want a 10-year note, I want a fixed rate, and I want to have no debt service. So I'm going to pay that note off in a lump sum in 10 years. What do you think the loan officer is going to say to you? Well, first, they're going to say, we don't have a product like that. We're not going to do a note. We're not going to take that risk. And certainly we're not going to do it based on the property value. We're going to do it based on your credit score and your ability to repay. And so even if that product were available, what kind of interest rate do you think that these guys would command in order to get that? And the reality is they're going to want something in the neighborhood, just from a risk-adjusted, interest rate. And you think about what's available in the market today, you're looking at mid-teens, 14, 15% type of rate to get that. And you might think it's a little bit lower, but let's just go with that. I don't care. If you want to say 12, say 12. So when you look at the home equity agreement, the first thing that you're going to see is that, and there's a couple different flavors of products, but we're going to focus on just the one that takes a percentage of the home value for a premium. So it's kind of like pre-selling or a forward sale contract on your home. And so you're going to sell, a portion of your home, but it's not an actual sale. And of the future value. And so let's say that you want to sell $200,000 of the future value of your home. What are you going to get for it? Well, today, based on current, the current product parameters, you're looking at $100,000. So it's like a 50% discount on the future sale. And the first thing you're going to be like, the initial reaction of everybody is that this is nuts, and that's a ripoff. You guys are con artists. But let's think about it for a moment. If your home, if the final settlement value of the contract is tied to the future home value, all right, and let's say the house is worth $1 million, and we're going to get $200,000, and you're going to get $100,000 premium today for the $200,000 future sale that you're contracting yourself for, or future settlement value, I should say. And if you're doing that, and let's say that the market just keeps on roaring up, or maybe it drops, but then it comes back up. So let's just say it goes up and comes back down, or goes down and comes back up, because the market's always changing. But let's say at the end of 10 years that we're flat, that the $1 million home, or that you struck the contract at today, is worth $1 million in 10 years. If the price doesn't change and you owe that $200,000, what would the interest rate be? Well, if you're familiar with the rule of 72, it's pretty simple. You just take 72 and divide it by the number of years. Okay, 10 years into 72, 7.2%. So the effective cost of money is 7.2%.
Police reported ahead.
If the price doesn't change. Okay? So if there's no change in the value, then it's like the cost of money is an effective rate of 7.2%. Not too bad for money that's based on, or where the, sorry, gotta watch out for these police. No, they're on the other side of the highway. Nice. So basically, we were talking before, 13, 14, 15%, that'd be a reasonable number, for debt. And that would, and that was just talking about if there were, in fact, a debt equivalent product, and there's not. So 7.2% if the market goes nowhere. And if the market goes down, guess what? The effective cost of money is lower. So the investor is actually sharing the risk with you. If the market goes higher, which most people are going to think that, the market, because of inflation and historical, growth in homes being a good inflation hedge, because they track with inflation pretty well. If that's the case, then the cost of money is going to be higher. And we can calculate, what that effective cost of money is based on various scenarios. So let's say it could be downward, in the neighborhood of like 5% in a down market. Cost of money in a flat market could be 7.2%, okay? And in an up market, maybe it's 10, 11, 12%. But it's not unreasonable, and it's just doing it at the discount. It's just not a familiar approach to people, so it actually is. It's just a hard concept to understand. That it is actually a reasonable way to acquire liquidity from your home wealth, which is probably, for most people, it's one of their largest concentrated positions of wealth, and be able to, gain liquidity from it. And so the last thing that I would probably like to mention here, let's go ahead and talk about this. The contract itself, when you settle out of this contract, the amount that you're paying over and above the original premium received. So let's just, again, flat market. If you have $100,000 and then you pay $200,000 in year 10 because of the flat market, settle out, that $100,000 that you paid is actually a capital loss. And if you have a home value that exceeds, your exemptions, normal exemptions from capital gains tax on the sale of your home, you can use that capital loss to lower your capital gains taxes write-off, okay? So that as well will reduce your cost of money. And there's actually an effective or net effective cost of money there for you that's lower than even the numbers we were talking about before. So, anyways, I think that about covers it. And I think that, if this sounds like a reasonable option for you, and I've done a good enough job of helping to dispel some of the kind of misinformation or misunderstanding of this really pretty new financial product on the marketplace. Why don't you go ahead and use whatever link or connection that I have below this video and get connected with one of our home wealth specialists and see what we can do for you. Take care. Bye.